Good morning and a happy Monday to you. I'm back in this new week to bring you a few more thoughts from the Bible today and on Friday. Now, on Friday last week, I talked a little bit about what it really means to have success in our lives. How it's less about the stuff that we have and the money in our pocket or the qualifications stuck up on our walls, and more about our relationship with God. And this is such an important thing, and I just felt like I wanted to give it a little bit more time today. See, not too long ago, I found myself sitting down with my journal for a time of prayer, and I started questioning God about what I should be doing right now. Should I still be recording these videos? Should I be doing Bible studies in person again? Should I be working on my next book? And if so, what topic should I write about? My head was so completely full of questions related to what I should be doing. And finally, after I reached the end of this really, really long list of things, I felt like God drew my attention to that very point, saying, Becky, do you realize how often your prayers are focused entirely on what you should be doing? As Christians, we are called to do stuff. We're told to love God and to love our neighbors. We're instructed to be a part of the Great Commission, to tell people about God and the love that He has so lavishly poured out on us. We're told to make disciples. We're supposed to be doers of the word and not merely listeners. We're called to help orphans and widows, to help people in their times of distress. We're told to work, to give from our earnings, to bless our church leaders and the people around us in this world. We're commanded to pray ceaselessly, to rejoice always, and to be giving thanks in every circumstance that we face in our life. These are all things that we're supposed to be doing, and they are all good things. They're really, really, really important things for us to be doing. But even with the best intentions regarding those things, we can forget the most important thing. Before we can do, we need to be. Being is more important than doing. But what do I mean by this? I mean living in God's presence. I mean living in relationship with Him, being with Him. That is the most important thing. God didn't send Jesus to die so that He could create an army of unthinking minions or robots to do His bidding. He sent Jesus to earth so that a bridge could be built between us and God on high, so that we could know Him, so that we could be close to Him. Yes, we will do things. We should do things. We absolutely have to do things. We will work and we will achieve, but it should never be at the expense of knowing God. We need to make that our priority, and then from that position we do the stuff with Him from a place of rest and peace and joy that we can only find when we make the most important thing in our day-to-day lives. So when you woke up this morning, what was your first thought? Was it immediately going to the things that you need to do that day? Or did you linger for just a moment and invite God into everything that you would do this day? When the things we need to do pile up and become a mountain that seems absolutely impossible to scale, do we start climbing anyway and just fall flat on our faces? Or do we come to God and maybe ask if there's anything that we need to put down for a moment? Do we come to God and ask for his help in taking on that giant pile of things that need doing? Relationship is more important than achievement. But that's such an alien concept in this world so many times, I find. With so many voices shouting at us that, if we're going to do well in life, we need to focus on the doing. Busyness can keep us so distracted that we forget to spend any time with God at all in our days or weeks or months or years. I think we even talk so often about the doing when we think about improving our relationship with God. We set goals for reading the Bible and spending a specific length of time in prayer, or so many hours a week that we're going to give to serving in the church. And, those things are so, so important. Don't get me wrong. They are things that we absolutely 100% should be doing. But we can tick all of those boxes and think that we're doing well when we haven't really taken any time at all to simply rest in him, to simply be with him as we would with a treasured friend or a loved one. We don't always feel like we need to be doing in those relationships. We can just enjoy time in their presence. We should be like that with God as well. If we want to have the strength that we need for the doing that we have to do, we need to start with the being, with intimacy with God, abiding in him. As John chapter 15 verse 4 says, "Remain in the vine, as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me." Our focus on doing, on achieving, is never going to be fruitful. It's not going to bear fruit unless we first learn to remain in the vine, to remain in God, to rest in Jesus, coming to him when we are weary and burdened and feel completely overwhelmed by everything that we need to do, and receiving the rest for our souls that he promises to us. This has really, really challenged me in recent weeks. We can have such good intentions, believing that we are doing all of the right things, on paper doing all of the right things, and yet not having the right motivation, not spending that time to just be with God, to remain in God. Unless our motivations are right, all of those things that we achieve with our doing, they're all in vain. And how wonderful it is, really, that the thing that God desires the most from us is love. Not what we can achieve, not great long lists of things ticked off. He wants our hearts, and he's offered us his heart in return. That is a wonderful, wonderful thought to finish on today. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll be back on Friday this week with another video, so please do join me then for some more thoughts from the Bible. I'll see you then.